Welcome back to the Corolla oil burning experiment saga, or if you're new here, welcome. So it looks like Berryman's B12 Chem Tool is the most successful chemical so far. It took us from burning about 1.25 quarts of oil in 300-ish miles to about 1.25 quarts of oil in 800, 900, maybe 1,000 miles. But we did a second treatment of the Berryman's and it didn't seem to help anymore, so it's like we plateaued. We could do another Berryman's treatment and it might be successful, but a lot of you watch Scotty Kilmer and you have said try that ATS 505 CRO stuff that Scotty's always going on about.
Following these ATS guys that I talked about, their fuel and oil cleaner, this can clean the carbon out as little as 15 minutes.
Thanks to a viewer, Texas Power Man, he sent us a couple of bottles to try of the ATS 505 CRO, and that is what this experiment is about today. We're going to put the ATS 505 CRO in the engine and follow the directions on the bottle, and then put some miles on the car and see if it helped the oil burning even more. If you were paying careful attention in the last video, you might have noticed that one of the jugs of oil from which I topped off the engine seemed to have a thinner oil in it. And that's because several months back, I treated a jug of oil with about a cup of SuperTech motor treatment for an experiment that I never followed through with because I thought it would take too much time. I'd since forgotten about that treated jug, and inadvertently in the last video, when one of my jugs ran out of oil, I picked up this treated jug to top off the engine. So for the sake of full disclosure, the oil in the second half of the video was partially treated / diluted with SuperTech motor treatment. Just probably about 2 or 3 ounces or so. How does that translate? Well, likely it would have contributed to a little faster oil burn off and possibly some cleaning action. They're not likely. I'm letting you know all this because the oil in the engine is still partially adulterated with this SuperTech motor treatment. A detail some people might want to know, and a desire not to waste any more oil than necessary, I'll not be draining the engine and refilling with fresh oil before starting today's experiment. The directions say for professional use only. ATS oil system treatment is designed to be added directly to the motor oil. Remove fill cap and pour contents. Push down and turn to open. Well, I was doing that. Oh, I want to bust that open. Man, thing doesn't want to come open. I'm gonna have to get a wrench to open that thing. There we go. Goodness gracious. Open. You know what this smells like? This smells like bathroom cleaner. It's like pine scented or something. Into the engine oil. Run engine at high idle for 10 or more minutes, then change the motor oil and filter. 1 can will treat 4 to 8 quarts of motor oil. Cleans carbon deposits from the engine, reducing problems with sticking piston rings, sticking lifters, sticking camshaft phasers, sticking oil control valves, sticking timing chain tensioners, restricted oil screens, increases engine performance while reducing engine oil consumption. Now we are going to run engine at high idle for 10 or more minutes, then change motor oil and filter. Nope, my handle broke off. I have to fix that. All right, we've got 3:07 on the clock. So we need to run it until at least 3:17. We'll say at least 3:18 at a high idle, which would be what? Let's say 3,000. Get it at 3,000 if I can. Oh, by the way, the check engine light went off. Not while I was doing this test, just while I was driving around, probably in the last 100 miles or so. I also noticed that after I filled up with gas the last time, there was no surging And I know one of the codes was the evap, which was probably causing the engine to surge after filling up with gas. And I wonder if it had something to do with me putting Berryman's in the fuel. Did it unstick something in the purge valve or something like that? I don't know, but we'll try to read the codes again in this video and see what it says. 317. And 318. So we've been idling for 10 minutes. Let's see what the oil looks like on the dipstick. Even the exhaust smells like bathroom cleaner right now. Yep, smells just like pine sol. That's probably good. Now for the oil filter. Somebody said poke it with a screwdriver first, but then I got to thinking, well, then oil's going to get all over the screwdriver and I'll have to clean that off too, so does it really make that much difference? No! At least it stayed on the cardboard. Let's see what this oil looks like. Man, it smells like toilet bowl cleaner. Spread that around on the funnel so you can see it better. Pretty dirty. So you can see this is fresh, untainted oil. New SuperTech filter. Oil is slow going today. I think it's in the 40s right now. But this was stored in the house, in the basement, so it's probably about 65 degrees. All right, let's crank it up, get it back in our level spot. Check the oil and then top it off. Okay, it's been parked for a couple of minutes. I'm having difficulty seeing where that is. Oh, there it is. About 1/4 of an inch below the top dot. Let's see what we got now. Right above the top dot, just a hair. Now let's reset the oil trip. So that's the gas. There's the oil. Okay, here's our actual mileage. So if you've been following the entire series, you'll know we've been using about 1 1/4 quarts of oil in roughly 900 to 1,000 miles. We used a little more than that in the last video because it was all interstate driving, because we were testing driving speed and oil use, but I would expect under normal conditions right now after the Berryman's B12 Chem Tool experiments to get a consistent 900 to 1,000 miles per 1 1/4 quart use. So if we go over 1,000 miles before we reach the bottom dot on the dipstick, we'll know the ATS 505 CRO has actually done something. All right, let's start putting some miles on it. Okay, we are at 304.4 miles on the ATS 505 CRO test. Just pulled off the interstate here, and we're gonna check the oil level. Hopefully it hasn't used much at all, but we'll see. To me it looks like it is right there, like halfway. But I'll do is I'll put this here, turn it over. There you can see it. So that's where it was. So about halfway down, halfway between the dots. Just a little more than a half of a quart and 304 miles after that ATS 505 CRO treatment.
I think it's been about 500 miles since the ATS 505 CRO treatment. 503.1. Probably easier to read before I wipe it. So there's where we are. It's right about there. So a little more than halfway down between the dots at 500 miles. Another variable I think we need to factor in this time is it has been very, very cold since the beginning of this 505 CRO test. And so that means we've actually let the engine warm up longer in the mornings before we go places. So that's more idle time, more time it's actually running and not actually putting miles on the clock. Just want to throw that out there because that is another factor we need to consider.
Okay, let's do a 600 mile check, or 610 miles. Now I did just drive this car, has been parked for about 5 minutes. It's like we're right around there. Still not that easy to see, is it? So less than halfway, but still have some left. Definitely make it to 700, I think. Hopefully 1,000, we'll see. But so far, it doesn't look like ATS 505 CRO has actually improved anything. So we just got back from about a 100-mile trip and we got 805.7 on the clock. Let's see what the oil looks like. I've let the engine sit for about 5 minutes. Looks like we are pretty close to the bottom dot, but not totally. A couple of millimeters above the bottom dot. One more time here. Yeah, that is pretty close to the bottom dot. It appears that we are going a little over 800 miles. Looks like we could probably get 850 miles. out of 1.25 quarts of oil. So, still doing okay, but I don't think the ATS 505 CRO actually provided any benefit at the moment. Let's read the codes and see if anything has changed. Checking all system modules this time. I wish I had checked the codes when the engine light had gone off. Then we'd know what's coming on and going off, or what codes are coming and going, but now we just know what's on. Unless something has changed, which is possible. I'm gonna have to change the battery in the camera. This is gonna take so long. See if there's something better to look at. Oh, I don't have any food, guys. Girls, excuse me. Six. All right, we have the P0440 evaporative emission control system. I think that's typical for us. P0441 evap system incorrect purge flow. We think it's probably the purge valve that is stuck, which happens with these cars apparently. This is a new one, P0125 insufficient coolant temperature for closed loop fuel control. This is common on a 2002 Corolla. Replace the engine coolant thermostat. That might actually be something I need to do, because I noticed when I have the heat blowing hard on a cold day, sometimes the temperature will start dropping on the temperature gauge, which probably does mean the thermostat is kind of sticking open. P0420 catalyst system efficiency below threshold, bank 1, as usual. Code is common on a 2002 Corolla. We recommend only high quality OEM catalytic converters, which I think cost like $2,000, maybe more, I don't know. So basically the same things every time except that new coolant one. All right, well, I might need to get a thermostat. Spark plug 1, spark plug 2, spark plug 3, spark plug 4. That's in order right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I pulled the EFI fuse. Now let's do a compression test. The engine is totally cold. It hasn't been run today, and it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Got cylinder number 1 hooked up to the gauge. And this time I am going to be pressing the throttle for wide open throttle. Some people have mentioned that I'm supposed to do that with a compression test. I did not know that was necessary, so we'll see if it makes any difference this time. So what have we got there? Let's say about 225 or 230, 225. Cylinder number 2. Looks like 225 again. Cylinder number 3. Now this was the cylinder that was a little low on the last compression tests, and it looks like it's about 215, so it is lower than the others. 210, 215. Cylinder number 4. Back up to 225 or 230 that time. Actually, cylinder number 4 looks the best. Might just be because it's getting oil circulating in the engine maybe now. I didn't notice much difference in the compression, whether using wide open throttle or just leaving the throttle closed. So tell me what y'all think about that in the comments. Now let's give it a really quick scope, just see if we see anything different. The battery was dead in my Borescope, so I had to charge it, so now it's nighttime. All right, here we go down cylinder number 1. Looks pretty good. Some carbon on the top, but not a puddle in the dish. All right, now cylinder number 4. Looks a little oilier. Let's get a straight shot of this. Not terrible. Okay, cylinder number 2. Wow. Cylinder number 2 looks good. I think cylinder number 2 might be cured. Oh man, that's beautiful. Unless I'm missing something here, y'all let me know. Let's look at cylinder number 3. So maybe we've only cleaned up one cylinder. There's cylinder number 3. Cylinder number 3 doesn't look too bad. Actually, might look a little better than 1 and 4, even though it has the least compression of them all. Maybe the oil reduction was we just got cylinder number 2 cleaned up. So it appears that ATS 505 CRO did not give us any more improvement than we already had. Maybe we only have one cylinder that's cleaned up. Maybe number 2 is clean now, and that's what's giving us the almost 1,000 miles per quart and a quarter of oil. So I wonder, since that gained us about 500-600 miles, if every cylinder that gets clean, or every cylinder that we unstick the rings and clear up the oil drain back holes, we'll get another 600 miles or so. 6 or 700 maybe? That would bring us to almost 3,000, wouldn't it? 700 times 3 is 2,100, plus 800 to 1,000 is 3,000. So I'm thinking we only got one cylinder that's totally cleaned up now. So we have plenty of room for improvement. Now, do I think Berryman's B12 Chem Tool would continue to work if we continued to add it? I think it probably would. I think we could see better and better results every time. But like I said, there's some other chemicals we'd like to try out, and it'd be interesting to find out if any of this other stuff does work or works better. So let's keep going. And in the next experiment, since I already have a big bottle of it, we're going to try Yamalube Ring Free, because doesn't it just sound appropriate? Ring free. If that sounds interesting to you and you haven't subscribed already, you might want to go ahead and subscribe. Please add any comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.